Seen embedded in the upper floors of the skyscraper, and ever since has been raining down onto the streets of lower Manhattan. Shortly afterward, a second plane hit the other tower. That is the tower with the observation deck on top. The Associated Press has learned the FBI is investigating reports that the two crashes are the result of foul play. Of course, there's no word on casualties, but suffice to say the loss of life presumably profound. Given the magnitude of this disaster, the South Tower of the World Trade Center just minutes ago collapsed to the ground. Only one tower is standing at this point. President Bush, speaking in Florida, was quick to react to this tragedy.
I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act.
This is not only a New York story. In Washington, word that the Pentagon has been struck. A plane crashed into the Pentagon this morning. CNN's Chris Plant is in the nation's capital.
And speaking to people here at the Pentagon as they're being evacuated from the building, I am told by several people that there was, in fact, an explosion. I was told by one witness, an Air Force senior enlisted man, that he was outside when it occurred. He said that he saw a helicopter circle the building. He said that it appeared to be a U.S. military helicopter and that it disappeared behind the building where the helicopter landing zone is, and that he then saw a fireball go into the sky.
That fireball was apparently from a plane. An Associated Press reporter on the scene saw the tail end of a large airliner launch into the Pentagon. Of course, the Pentagon has been evacuated along with the West Wing of the White House, the Capitol, all major branches of the United States government evacuated this morning. In Chicago, the Sears Tower has been evacuated as a precautionary measure. No threat has been made against Chicago's tallest building at this point. The New York Stock Exchange has been shut down. The State Department has been evacuated. The Associated Press has learned the White House has been evacuated after the Secret Service received a credible threat of a terrorist act against the mansion. The State Department, as we mentioned, also evacuated. Fox News Channel's Jim Engel is at the White House and has the very latest.
The roads around the White House, the streets around the White House were blocked seconds ago. Members of the Uniform Division of the Secret Service ran out to intersections and started diverting traffic. There are emergency vehicles on almost every block around the White House. The road south of the White House has also been blocked. And as you know, the White House is being evacuated. Federal employees are standing on the street corners in and around the White House, having left the building for fear of another attack.
President Bush is now flying to Washington from Florida, where he'd scheduled an educational event. The president's plane, Air Force One, nationwide. 1010 Winds, continuous coverage. Moves on now with 1010 Winds anchor, Judy DeAngelis.
As you said, it is an absolutely unreal sight. You see the pictures side by side of New York and Washington billowing smoke. The collapse of the World Trade Center. 1010 Winds reporter Eileen LaPalmer is down in lower Manhattan. We're going to try and get to her live now and see if she can give us any more information. Eileen, are you there?
Yeah, Judy, I'm here. Well, all I can tell you is, as you can imagine, absolute chaos. People were running, panicking just when the smoke and flames were billowing out. People were trying to head down south towards the World Trade Center when suddenly there was a large rumbling and the entire tower fell and collapsed to the ground. People came running north because of the smoke. It was billowing up Broadway. There's a big black cloud of smoke. You can't even see down Broadway from the vantage point of City Hall. I've now looked inside a building, but all the buildings...
This video footage was filmed by Richard A. Siegel. Rick Siegel was a child prodigy who was recruited by numerous Fortune 500 companies for his problem-solving and computer skills in the years leading up to 2001. He was a pioneer in the field of Internet television webcasting and had aired over 5,000 hours of original programming through his own company Online TV as of September 11, 2001. He was a frequent visitor on business to both the North and South Towers and held security passes at the time of the tragedy.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rick Siegel. This is about where I was on the day that the 9/11 tragedy occurred when the two towers were hit. I was in the shower. I was in the bed when I heard the first one, and I got the report and ran into the shower, got showered, and came down on my Zappy scooter with all my stuff and zoomed in here, set up my cameras on tripods so that I could watch with my binoculars, and started filming the Twin Towers as they were burning. Yeah. At least the building was in the frame, and the whole building, so I could get to smoke the building and what was happening. I was hoping you could see the plane out of it, but there was no plane to see out of that. And there was just a hole and black smoke. You just see it look like a cigar standing up on end with burning tip and black smoke. Which again, why black smoke? It's ready to go out. And then, yeah, it went on, and the building was it was just burning away, and it wasn't too exciting until all of a sudden it's disappearing, and there was no real sign. There was no sign that anything was that this was going to go down. It was all the black smoke, and the black smoke is really indicative that the fire's out. So you're waiting for all the sludge to go away and the fire departments to get up there and do their jobs, because buildings don't fall down like that. It was like the biggest shock, and no one. You know, that's talking about a shock to see a building fall down. Thank God. I mean, a big one. It's like they're designed not to fall down. They're designed not to blow over. And like they said about this, it was designed for a 707 to run into it. And it took it. Two big jets flew into both the buildings, and they didn't fall. They're saying they fell because they were on fire. That doesn't make sense.
Let's take another look at how the South Tower was turned into a pile of dust.
And the smoke is billowing, still heading towards Brooklyn. You can smell the smoke from here. It's coming from the entire area of both buildings. It's unbelievable.
Well, this really is a case of a situation that you thought couldn't get any worse, getting progressively worse.
Yes.
First one plane crashing into the World Trade Center, then a second crashing into the second tower of the World Trade Center.
Unbelievable.
Word now that a plane has crashed into the Pentagon. It has been evacuated along with the West Wing of the White House. The Treasury has been evacuated. The Capitol evacuated. The Sears Tower in Chicago has been evacuated. There was no threat of an attack against the Sears Tower, but they're obviously going to quit while they're ahead there. And all of this, the world...
Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, the building fell. Are you there? The building just fell.
Which?
Oh, my God, the South building just fell from the top. Oh, my God, the building just fell. The entire World Trade Center on the South building just fell. I just saw the whole thing. Oh, my God.
Rick saw what looked like a military helicopter rescue. What could those bright flashes be? Why did the bright flashes occur just before the collapse?
I'm watching in my binoculars, and I got in there, just the guy and the helicopter line, and all of a sudden the guy's out of my view, but you know, you think you moved or something, and I'm like, where is it? And I had to look, because from the angle you only get a sliver of the second building. And I had to look, I'm like, is it there? And everybody's screaming, and the noise is starting to come, and it's, then I realized it was like this yellowish gray because of the powder and dust that had fallen underneath, and it still left colors. And this ominous color was there instead of a building, and there was, instead of a grayness of a building through smoke, it was light coming through. There was no more building there.
Now let's use freeze frame analysis and take a closer look at those flashes. This west approach path is not visible to the pool camera angles shared by major networks broadcasting live.
Well, this really is a case of a situation that you thought couldn't get any worse, getting progressively worse.
Yes.
First one plane crashing into the World Trade Center, then a second...
And when I was watching out there, helicopters were around it. It was up on the edge. looked like he's dropping a line out, and underneath, these guys are hanging out the window. And the windows were basically in the building from here, from your knee, you know, up to about there. So to get an idea of what it would look like, and you can see with the binoculars, you can see the person, and people were jumping. It had to be hot to make that decision. And he's hanging out there.
World Trade Center, then a second crashing into the second tower of the World Trade Center.
Unbelievable.
Word now that a plane has crashed.
And it looked like he was lowering a line in a single prop helicopter. It looked black. Didn't look like it was white. It wasn't a news helicopter.
Word now that a plane has crashed into the Pentagon. It has been evacuated along with the west wing of the White House. The Treasury has been evacuated. The Capitol evacuated. The Sears Tower in Chicago has been evacuated. There was no threat of an attack against the Sears Tower, but there obviously